Get ready for a no BS approach to health and fitness. This is NBS Fitness Radio.
All right, welcome back to NBS Fitness Radio. I'm here with my good friend, Eric Chang. Eric is a husband. He's a father. He's also a business owner. He owns Reason CrossFit out in California. And we're going to talk about how we balance all that out. Typical struggles that people have that we see as fitness business owners on a regular basis, how we both address them, and hopefully give you guys some takeaways that you can apply to your life. So welcome to the podcast, Eric.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Awesome, bud. Well, let's just kind of start with your own kind of fitness journey. Obviously, you don't end up owning a fitness business by happenstance. So just kind of give us your elevator story of fitness.
Yeah, man. I am. So first, it is Reason Fitness, but we are CrossFit. We are a CrossFit gym as well. So we are a CrossFit affiliate. Are you still a CrossFit affiliate?
No, we're not.
Oh, so we go ahead.
Were y'all Reason Fitness from the get-go? Were y'all ever Reason?
No,
CrossFit?
we were Change Fitness that became CrossFit Reason, that then became Reason Fitness, but home to CrossFit Reason. So
very cool. Okay, awesome. There you go.
But we have CrossFit is definitely still a huge part of our methodology, but in terms of being super CrossFit centric, I'd say we offer way too many programs to be just a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
So I would say that, I mean, if we're talking revenue or attendance wise, it's only really 30% of our communities in CrossFit group fitness classes now. So
gotcha. So our kind of have a wide variety of ways of helping people. CrossFit just happens to be one of them.
Yep. So
all right, so give us your fitness story.
Yeah, so my fitness story is grew up I'd say I'd always been relatively athletic growing up, but I've always played sports. Basketball was my sport growing up, played AAU growing up. But I stopped growing in sixth grade. So I've been the same height since sixth grade. I'm 5'8". And you can be a pretty good point guard at 5'8" when you're in 11 years old. But each year that you continue to play and do not grow further, you become a very, very small guard. And basketball is a game where you cannot teach height. And if you are a larger person, you just are simply going to be better just because of your height and size. And people don't understand that unless you actually play basketball at a decently high level. But there's just I would say that if you are under 6'5", you better be a really good shooter, or a really athletic person, because you're just so disadvantaged. And the difference between 6'2" and 6'8" is tremendous. So
did you know for every inch you are tall, your odds of making it into the NBA double?
Oh, so, all I know that is if you're over 6'8", you have a 17% chance of being in the NBA.
Yeah. But if you're 6'6", you're twice as likely to be in the NBA as if you were 6'5", and if you're 6'7", you're twice as likely to be as if you're 6'6". So every inch gains you twice the potential outcome.
That's crazy because you just think about how many people are in the NBA that are 7 foot plus.
Yeah,
you can probably count them on 2 hands.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You have a 1 in 4 chance of being in the NBA if you're over 7 feet tall.
Really?
1 in 4.
No way. Of
25%.
All 7-footers on earth. That's an insane stat, dude. So I did not.
I was gonna say the scary or the kind of depressing stat is the opposite of that. If you're over 7 foot tall and you're not in the NBA, what happened?
Yeah, that's kind of a lot of pressure to live with, right? That's kind of depressing, but but yeah, man. So I grew up a hooper, and then eventually, that just kind of didn't become a thing. I stopped playing in high school and gained a ton of weight. By my senior year, I was same height, 5'8". But my senior year, I weighed 240 something pounds, so 250 pounds. So I was pretty overweight. And still loved basketball, but my body disagreed with that.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to find ways to like get fit. So and then I eventually got, like I was had a very those who can't do teach kind of experience. So I got really into fitness. I started getting really into prehab and rehab. So I
Mm.
wanted to become an athletic trainer. So
Yeah.
I did that, went to JUCO, did JUCO in 3 semesters, and I worked as a student athletic trainer during that time. And that was kind of like my first early exposure into weightlifting, the clean and jerk and the snatch. And that was my first, this is like back in 2006. So that was like my early exposure into like lifting.
Yeah.
And during that time, I started becoming more passionate about strength and conditioning. So went from athletic training into strength conditioning. Uh, my third year, I transferred eventually, and then my second to last year of school, I found CrossFit against all odds as a kinesiology major, being taught that we should not do CrossFit. I got into it. It changed my life. Been doing it ever since. Competed for a little bit, and in my peak fitness, I was trying to compete in the sport of CrossFit. I probably weighed between 183 and 195. I kind of like went back and forth depending on if I had more or less muscle, if I
Yeah.
was more like, yeah, if I was faster or stronger. And that's kind of been my journey with like fitness, but that was like a whole lifetime ago. And that's kind of my whole start into it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Asian don't raisin. I am 37 years old, and I have 3 children. I have I would say like 2.5 businesses that I manage, and I'm still, I know you're not in tinker anymore, but like I'm tinkering with like different things to
Yeah.
provide not just for my family, but I'm in a place in life where I can actually honestly say that I don't have to work for money anymore.
Yeah.
So I have some layer of financial freedom. I can scale what I'm doing to another level for more income to have more impact. I can also kind of like live within my means and live a slower life if I choose to. And I'm in a season of life where I'm actually trying to figure it out. Like, what does that look like for me?
Yeah.
I have three small children, 7, 5, and 2, girl, boy, girl, and life is really busy. We are just wrapping up summer here in SoCal. Kids are going back to school, and yeah, it's been a journey to figure out what it really means, like what I really want out of my own fitness in the season,
Yeah.
and what I want out of my own health. I have decent blood work. Like I'm not like a Brian Johnson. I don't know if you know who that guy is.
Yeah.
I'm not out here like drinking my own pee and like eating plant smoothies and stuff like that. But I'd say that I'm probably healthier than most.
Yeah.
So that's me, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, we have similar backgrounds, and then you went from competitive sports. Sorry, what am I gonna do next? Ooh, competitive fitness.
Yeah.
And I've always feel like that's a hard transition from competitive fitness to fitness for longevity or health or happiness.
It's really hard. Yeah.
How
It's
how
really
old were
challenging.
you? How old were you and you kind of like stopped training for like the sport of CrossFit?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like trying to compete like back then they called this regionals.
Yep.
So I was trying to qualify for regionals back in the early 2010s.
Okay.
Um, so I probably had like a 4 to 5 year window where I was like, it was top of mind. It took priority over like social stuff. It took priority over honestly like even work. Like
Yeah.
I only was motivated to work enough to like be able to train, you
Yeah.
know. The only thing that probably was more important to me, and or I would honestly go back and I feel guilty saying this, but this had equal importance in my life was probably my fiance or my wife, who's now my
Yeah.
wife or my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
I would say that like I had prioritized fitness 50-50 of that
Yeah.
much importance, where it's like she's just as important. Like my fitness was just as important as like my relationship.
I
Um,
I'll tell you a
yeah.
funny story. So I was competing in powerlifting, and I was training in the afternoon because that's when all the guys came to train, and my wife would come and train after work.
Mm,
Or sorry, my we were dating, so girlfriend or fiance, one of the things at the time. would like walk through the gym, and she would want to like give me a hug, give me a kiss, say,
Yeah.
how was your day? All that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, hey, look, Brett Favre's wife does not walk onto the field and give him a hug and kiss when he's at practice. Do not walk in here and give me a hug and kiss or try to talk to me when I'm about to squat, 800 pounds.
Wow. Wow. I bet that didn't
That's
go well.
well, yeah, we ended up getting married, but I remember
Wow.
like it's so funny now because like it seems so ridiculous to say, but it was 100 made 100% sense to me back then when I said it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm about to squat 800 pounds. I don't want you coming here and distracting
Yeah,
me.
don't talk to me. Yeah. But now you're like,
Um,
dude, what a dickhead, right?
yeah, like what an asshole.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're in your mid 20s when you're
Yeah.
doing all the trying
Yeah.
to compete in CrossFit.
Yeah. So for me, honestly, like I probably would have never stopped, but I hurt my back.
Mm,
So what happened was I started, this is during the era of you just like train volume if you want to get better. So this
yeah,
is like, what's Rich doing early on? Like this guy's working out 7 times a day. If you want to be good, you better work out just as much if you want to get better because people are always getting better and you don't want to fall behind. And, so my whole life was like, how do I train as much as I can? I smelled like Ben Gay all the time. I was popping Advil to try to like reduce my soreness,
yeah.
or taking like a leave or Advil on a regular basis. I smell like Tiger Balm and Ben Gay. I only ate for calories, not really for pleasure.
Yeah.
Like maybe like one meal on the weekend I would eat for pleasure.
Yep.
Everything else was just like I'd eat like ground turkey all day. So
Yep.
I would say that I was not health focused. I was very performance focused in that season of my life. And what happened was because I was overtraining so much, eventually I had a back spasm.
Mm.
And it didn't actually happen mid exercise. I was at a competition where I did 30 cleans for time, which I won the event. And then I went down to sit down, and I remember transitioning from like a lawn chair to the floor to like lay down, and suddenly my back locked up.
Mm.
And I was never the same since. Like I've been dealing with that ever since then, just like this
Sure.
over hyperactive back that
Yeah.
like I was on muscle relaxants. I was
Mm.
on like pain medication for years.
Mm.
And what I didn't do right early on was I was using that so that I could continue training versus really trying to figure out what was going on with my body.
Yeah.
So I would say that I was kind of forced to stop. So it wasn't
Yeah.
really a choice. But then other things like life hit. Eventually, I had a kid at 29, and then another one at 31,
Yeah.
and then just 2 years ago we had another one. So like eventually life hits. Eventually you realize that it's really hard to make a living as a gym owner if you don't let your like I used to like try to coach every class, coach like 80% of our on ramps, and do all this stuff as a gym owner. You're trying to make your business run, and you realize that you need to focus on running a business as opposed to being the one in your business. And
Yeah.
so a lot of learning, like a lot of different things that kind of like brought me away from competing. But
Yeah.
I even say today I just turned 37 like 2 weeks ago. I always say like my goal is to get myself fit enough to the point where in my mid 40s, should I choose to want to be a master, I'm fit enough to have the option.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like
So
that. Very good.
so yeah,
How was the like psychological transition from,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, how's
You
the
know, it's
psychological transition?
it's probably something that I actively still battle today,
Yeah.
right? Because you see yourself in a certain light. Like you and I probably have the personalities where you set your mind to something, and you tell yourself you're gonna do this. So then it becomes a part of your identity.
Yeah.
And as long as it's a part of your identity, it's really, really hard to shift that identity away from who you think you are or who you want to be. So
Yeah.
you either are like you're like either actively living in that, trying to pursue that identity, and you feel like you're failing, or you have to like kind of give it up.
Yeah.
And that shift is just, I mean, it's almost like a divorcing of yourself.
Yeah.
It's a divorcing of who you think you are, and being able to leave that behind and say that like I am gonna do this because it's going to be better, or it actually is.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's really challenging.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, no doubt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, I'm hyper competitive in everything that I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And I love training.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I don't even see myself as different. I wouldn't say like, I was like, I'm still that same person. I'm just not,
You're just not focusing on competing in
uh,
that now. You're competing somewhere else now.
yeah,
Right.
I'm just not gonna focus. I'm
Yeah.
not, it's like, or maybe this, like, I'm gonna still train just as hard and
Yeah.
seriously. It just may be done in an hour instead of 3 hours, type of thing. I
Yeah.
got 1 hour to get done. That's
Yeah.
just ends up what happens. But yeah, I mean, you definitely don't see yourself as there's like probably a point in life where most people kind of lock in, and that's how you see yourself like through the rest of life. And it's probably like
Yeah.
right around 30 years old.
Yeah.
Um, so what did you do? Like, how did you transition
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
continue the
I mean,
story?
the challenge right now is, I think for me, I still see myself that way and I still want to be that way, but I have to be able to balance that with what is best for me in the season, right? Like
Yeah.
I've gone off like I don't feel like I've had a whole lot of physical wins in the last half decade in terms of
Yeah.
like, oh, I feel really proud of this snatch that I just did, or
Yeah.
I like hit a personal best on my basketball. Like I haven't seen those in years, right? But I've seen tons of like professional growth, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've provided better incomes for people. I've given people jobs that would have never thought that they could do this for full time.
Yeah.
I've scaled businesses up. I've scaled businesses down. I've made more money than I ever have in my entire life. But then it's like, then you go back to realizing that it's like, oh, I'm not really money driven. So then do I even really care about this? Right. It's like, I've gotten this competitive outlet out on myself, that I, was that used to be in fitness and used to be in competitive exercising. And now I don't really know what to do with it. I was just telling a
Yeah.
friend, um, this weekend, I was texting him. I was like, dude, I was at Costco. This was literally yesterday. And I texted him a picture of a Nintendo. I think it's called a Switch now. Switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nintendo. Yeah.
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 Yeah. That you could,
Handheld.
it's a screen that you could take it off to take the
Yeah.
controls off.
Yeah.
So, and I also saw Xbox and I was like, I texted him. I was like, hey, should I buy these? And he was like, are you going to get into gaming? And I was like, dude, I gave my PS5 that my brother-in-law, my brother-in-law gave me a PS5 and I gave that to my brother because I don't play it.
Yeah.
And what I realized is like, I really struggle with like doing things for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything in my life I do out of like a layer of either this helps people and I feel really good because I'm helping people, or I'm performing in some kind of way. Like I went to Vegas about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And like I was the only one out of my friend group that won money in Vegas. And the reason why I won money in Vegas is because I wasn't going to leave the blackjack table until I was up. But they all as like very reasonable people go, oh, you know what? I played for 2 hours. I'm down $100. It cost me $50 an hour to play. Like a reasonable person would say that. And
Yeah.
I objectively know that too, but I'm not letting myself lose. And I'm not okay with that. I have to win. Right.
That's a very dangerous strategy to take to Vegas.
Yeah, it's called. I deploy this thing called the martingale strategy. So I'm the kind of guy where it's like I just have to win my next bet and I'm up, right? And that's really really dangerous. But it's like I'm also willing and ready to bankroll my next bet. And that's as long as you're willing to do that, you're probably going to win at some point, right?
Yeah.
But it also means that you have to be able to bankroll it.
Yeah.
So it's just that's part of my personality. And I think for me, I'm like you talk about transitioning and trying to figure out what that looks like now. I'm definitely exercising for health and fitness now. I'm definitely in a season of just trying to like get my back really, really healthy. But it's not easy. Like I struggle to just even train on a daily basis sometimes, so there's probably a few things that I follow. And I can kind of share a little bit more about that if you think that's going to be helpful for your community.
Yeah, just say like what does your training look like now?
Yeah. So I kind of follow like there's probably like 5 or maybe even 6 things that I really think about when I think about my training. The first thing I think about is scheduling. The second thing I think about is my mindset and approach to my training. The third thing I think about is like how much flexibility am I giving myself and adaptability am I giving myself in my training and my exercise. And then the fourth thing I think about is how effective is this? So like what's my efficiency and my efficacy? Like is this the right thing for me? And I think about, and then this one's from Bonnie. Love you, Bonnie Skinner. Is something I think about a lot is like, what is actually restorative for me? So what are
Yeah.
like restorative practices, and what am I modeling for my children?
Yeah.
And then the last one would be like, what does my support system look like
Yeah.
in training? So those are probably like the big pillars I think about when I think about my training. So I'd say like, I mean, I could break down each one if you think that's helpful.
Well, maybe start with just kind of a bigger picture of like, what are the goals? Like, what do you want to
Yeah.
achieve? Like, because you
Yeah.
gotta start
Yeah.
from there to kind of like put
Yep.
the rest of it together.
Yeah. So I started off this year. It's 2024. In January, I told myself I want to wake up and not think about my back. Like I want it to be like an afterthought where like, oh, I remember when like I would have to constantly think about my back having like back spasms.
Yeah.
And I've actually gone a year and a half now, no back spasms at all. So that's a huge like what happens is like usually like my back will get better, and then I'm like, oh dude, I think I'm back. And I start like increasing my volume like crazy. Right.
Yeah.
So I've really had to like mitigate that behavior and mindset. So I am, as of November, if I hit November, no back spasms, that'll be 2 years of
Okay,
zero
nice.
back spasms at all.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean my back hasn't been tight here and there, but no back spasms. So
Yeah.
that'll be a huge PR. But for the year, one of the goals I had was I wanted to be able to get out of bed without like thinking through how, like I actually used to think about how I get out of bed. Like physically, how do I turn over, sit up, and get out of bed?
And how do I do this in the least possible, in the most, the least
Where,
chance of me feeling pain as I get out of bed,
tweaking something? And I thought to myself, dude, I'm way too young to be like having to think about that. So I wanted to be able to like do enough physical therapy and get enough rest where I could kind of like rehab that to a point where it's an afterthought. So I would say that I'm there now. Like it's
nice.
I've been doing physical therapy for about 4 months, and I don't think about how I do or don't get out of bed. But I still do have like tightness in my back. So that's definitely one milestone. Is like I want it to be able to be an afterthought of like, oh, I remember when I used to have back problems. And I'm definitely not there yet. So that's definitely a milestone. The second thing I'm doing is me and our boy Chris Williams, we're doing Everesting 2029 next year, 29. So I'm probably going to do
next year,
2025. Yeah, 2025.
Okay.
So we're probably going to do Whistler.
Yes.
Want to do it? Can you join us?
I gotta wait to 2026. I've already got my next year's plans out. I'm like,
you got your Masogi down ready for next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Whistler's the next one I want to do for 2026.
Okay. So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna do Whistler in 2025, probably most likely, barring something happening. So I haven't really started to train for that, but I want to think that what I'm doing on a day-to-day serves that in some way. One of my 2024 goals is also to get 365 miles of rucking done. And for the year, I'm probably at like 200 something miles. I don't have the exact number, but I'm at like 200 plus miles, which really what that means is like, did I ruck 1 mile every single day? It serves my mind and my body well. And also kind of is like a side quest in helping me get, fit enough to do Everesting 29. So, that's another goal I have. And then my last goal, probably like a side quest right now, probably just be, I really want to qualify for quarterfinals next year. But I don't know if that's responsible for me right now. So I want to do that. And I also, like a side quest would be to like cut some weight. I'm currently sitting at 218. I want to see what my body feels at about 200. So those are my physical goals. How do I strategize that? 100%. Yeah. So the first thing that I'd go about is like scheduling and time blocking. So the difficulty of being who I am and who you are is that like there are a million things tugging like I haven't eaten yet today. We were talking about that before this call because I very irresponsibly did not time block myself to eat today. So it is now 2 p.m. Pacific time that we're talking. I woke up today at 5 and I have not eaten a calorie yet. I've had element tea water, and I've had water that my wife made me of lemon and orange slices and ice, and that's all I had all day
in a mason jar. So it's pretty fancy.
in a mason jar. So my wife brought this to me
Yeah.
as she saw me walk into the office. So love my
It's
wife.
like you,
But
you look like you need this.
yeah. And I told her, I actually came into this my last call with a headache. So she was like, "Hey, drink some water." But I think for me, time blocking is huge. I know time blocking is huge for you as well. And having blocks in your schedule to be able to work out, have all my meetings in a certain block. And I know it sounds really cliche, especially for like the high performance world. But actually blocking those things out and then scheduling the things that fall within those time blocks and actually honoring those times. And my workout and my fitness being one of those things. I had a 1 hour time block today to do my fitness, but in the middle of warming up, I got a huge, massive headache and I only finished like 3 out of 8 exercises. So
Yeah.
that's my training for today. Didn't finish it, didn't go as planned, but I had other priorities on the schedule that I said were very important. And I want to make sure that my headache didn't turn into me canceling all my meetings today.
Yeah.
I think with scheduling, I think something else that's really, really important is making sure that my family understands like that I live my life on a calendar, you know,
Yeah.
and I do have block times where it's like, hey, I'm not going to live off a calendar in this block, but during that time, this is like I live by this, I live and die by this, and like you're not going to get me during the time that I said that I'm going to be doing these things.
Are you blocking that out like weekly? Do you have like a set time every morning at 5? That's when I do my training. Like,
Yeah,
how do you set it up?
yeah. So I think like what I coach my clients to do is I coach them to have the same time block every day for training. I don't do that because every day looks so different. Um, but I will usually block out uh Monday through Saturday on my schedule 6 to 7 hours of training time per week
Yeah.
in a 6 hour in a 6 day window.
You just
And I
block it
usually
out
will
for that week and
yep,
whatever. Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I usually will block it out like the Saturday or Sunday prior to the Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Very good.
So
Yeah. So just
yeah.
prioritize it and put it on your schedule. And kind of like
Yep.
the
Yep. And then
keep it
the
simple,
second thing,
stupid. It works, but put
yep.
it on your daggum schedule.
Yep. And then the second thing I think that I do that's really important is like I think about like my goal setting and my mindset as I approach it, and I identify like non-negotiables. And then I think within setting those non-negotiables are like what are actual realistic goals. So for me, my personality is I want to train for the CrossFit Games while I run $1 million business, while I am present for my kids, taking my kids to jiu-jitsu practice and to soccer practice and doing all these things, and having 1 to 2 touch points with my wife per week in terms of like date night and family meetings that we do. So I'm like doing all these things, and then and it's like my mindset is like I want to be able to do more than I can.
Yeah.
So then, okay, that's already like a step back. How do what can I actually do? So what are
Yeah.
realistic goals that I can actually set that align with what my current fitness goals are? What's in line with what my family can support? Because if they don't vote for this, if they don't vote yes on this, that hey, this is making dad better or my husband better, I'm not going to be able to do it because I don't have the support of those that are closest to me. Right.
Yeah.
And then being able to like adjust intensity as needed based on what my daily stresses are. And then
Yeah.
what are actual non-negotiables where I say like, hey, if I don't do this today, I'm going to be pretty upset. So one
Yeah.
non-negotiable I have is I will not miss a workout 2 days in a row.
Okay.
It's like a really base. I think I got that from The Rock or someone else,
Yeah.
but I won't miss a workout 2 days in a row. Like if I don't work out today, I'm definitely working out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I have a daily step count that I always hit. I usually hit 10K every day, or I have a weekly average of 70,000 steps, no matter what.
So how do you fit those in? Is
So
that
how do I
part of
do
your
that?
workout hour, or is that like I'm on calls, so I'm like,
I actually take my watch off when I work out because I think
Yeah.
it's very uncomfortable to work out with a
Yeah.
Garmin.
Yeah.
But what I will do is, yeah, like I just make sure that my daily activities like sum up to like my homeostasis is 10K.
Yeah.
I'd say between 7 and 10 on a daily basis. So I don't really have to try to get 10,000 steps, but on days where I'm short, I'll probably go for a quick walk. Just because I treat walk not as fitness, but as like a mindset or even like a spiritual practice for me, where it's like, hey, I'm leaving my context. This time is for me to not listen to music, to not read emails, but just to go for a walk and like observe what is out there and take a
Yeah.
break from the busyness of my life.
Yeah.
And usually that'll kind of make up for some We also do family walks. We try to do family walks after dinner. Um, and those are probably like the two walking cadences that I have in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think what other non-negotiables. I always try to hit 185 grams of protein every day. It's really challenging to do that right now on a cut where I'm only eating 21 to 2200 calories.
Yeah.
Eating 185 grams of protein is exhausting because you're eating very, very lean sources of protein if you're
Yeah.
not drinking it. So that's a non-negotiable right now.
How
and
the
other
family
non-nego-
walks go? Sorry, but yeah, talk to me more about the family walks. Your youngest is 3 or 2?
Two. Yeah. So she's very slow. Um, she will either get carried or end up in a stroller sometimes,
Yeah.
but we're trying to set this as like a cadence for our family.
How
I'd
far
say
do y'all go?
we just walk down the street. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in the suburbs in the city, so we might clock at most half a mile to 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking like 20 minutes of walking time, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
Very cool. Okay.
very slow, like very zone one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one is going fast. Yeah.
Well, I think about my own kids, and we've tried the walks, and it's like hurting cats. Because they're like,
Yes.
twing, twing. You're like, oh, get out of that person's garage.
Yeah, and they want to touch stuff, and they want to
Yeah.
like, oh, like look at this flower, or like, yeah.
So but we typically go, let's go on a bike ride. So like
Yeah.
they can keep going on a bike ride.
Yeah. So they'll ask if they can do that, but then what happens
Yeah.
is my oldest ones are like if I walk and they're on a bike, they're way fast.
They're way faster. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
big. Yeah. So
Yeah. All right. So other non-negotiables.
I'd say this is kind of, I don't know how this integrates into like fitness, but it's more like a family practice that helps me make sure that I eat is we try to have family dinner almost every single night. So I would say our family's having dinner like at least 5 out of 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
And this sounds weird as like a non-negotiable, but like I like to eat beef for dinner. And if I don't eat beef for dinner, I'm probably gonna binge eat at night because chicken and like fish just like are not fatty enough for me to like feel satiated to not want to eat again before I go to sleep. So having family meals and eating beef are definitely
okay. There you go. There's your secret, folks.
Yeah.
What's for dinner? Beef.
I mean, tonight we're having Korean barbecue marinated skirt steak. That's for dinner.
Love it.
So 1-to-1 protein to fat ratio. So
is that what it is? Korean barbecue?
It's pretty fatty, dude. Yeah, it's 1-to-1, man. It's not a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. It's quite fatty. Yeah.
All right, well, let's shift gears a little bit. What, in your experience as a gym owner, what do you see as common obstacles that like other guys are facing? It's like the kind of most common obstacle keeping a man in their 40s or in their late 30s and 40s from stewarding their body well.
Are we talking about average guys or like high performing guys, or
let's do both? Average.
Okay. I think that the average person, honestly, this is like, I don't want to sound like a David Goggins saying this, but I think that the average person is just okay with being average. And that's there's no nice way to say it, is I think you are average because you are okay being average and you have settled for whatever lifestyle, body, income that you have. And that's why you're where you're at. You have a laundry list of excuses that are longer than the hopes and dreams that you have. And until your motivations, your priorities, and your hopes and dreams outweigh the excuses that you have, you will always be where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay. Now for the high performers, I am you, so I get you. I think the biggest things, it's almost like opposite advice, is that I think we tend to have, and average people have this too, and that's probably why they never start, is that we have an all or nothing mindset when it comes to doing something about your health and fitness, whether it be eating a certain way, whether it be cleaning out your pantry. It's like, oh, I'll never, like, there's always going to be more crap in my pantry that I don't clean out. Well, it's like, well, you got to start somewhere. Or it's exercise. I think for me, flexibility and adaptability is really, really important. And what that means is you have to give yourself the grace to be able to say, you know what, maybe I don't define perfect today, but you know what? Because of who I am as an identity piece, I'm headed in this direction. So maybe I don't do 100 push-ups today because I don't have time to do it. But actually, I think anybody has time to do 100 push-ups any day, but because it takes like 10 minutes at most.
Yeah.
But I think it's like where are places that are like the least amount of friction that you can start. Like maybe you don't need to go on a diet today, but you know what? Maybe like instead of having fast food for dinner, where it's going to be like a burger and fries, maybe you can make the burger and fries.
Yeah.
That's already going to be net better. It's going to be net 1 to 5%, like 10% better than what you're doing now. Because when you make burgers at home, chances are you're probably not going to douse it with the amount of salt and the amount of sauce that the restaurant does, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to use the same cuts that they have access to, right? So it's already going to be different. Maybe instead of thinking, you need to go and do like a crazy CrossFit workout, maybe you just need to get yourself doing more activity than you did yesterday. Yesterday, you didn't work out. How about you go for a 10-minute walk today?
Yeah.
How about a 20-minute walk tomorrow? How about a 30-minute walk by the third day? And then because you've done that now, you know that you can do something for 30 minutes. Maybe on the fourth day, you can do a 30-minute workout.
Yeah.
Just real simple, easy ways where I think we need to give ourselves the grace and flexibility to say like, hey, something is better than nothing.
Yeah. That's a good point. You said, the average person, they might not think there's anything wrong. They don't look in the mirror and go like, man, I'm out of shape. I got to do something about this. Like, I'm normal. Well, then I say, yeah, I say here they just go like, I look like everyone else. I'm probably okay. But there's not maybe an awareness, but it's not really a desire to change.
Or the desire doesn't outweigh the awareness, right? It's like, we'll always tell ourselves not that bad, right?
Yeah,
and usually that's how people not that bad themselves to 50 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just it's just a beer. It's just one.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, well, you know what? It's a Friday.
Yeah.
Then it goes like, well, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you just start giving all these concessions, right?
Yeah. I would probably say that what has happened is they've stacked up habits and difficulties to change that is beyond their current capacity to overcome. Yep. It's like I use the analogy as like a wall. It's like you've been a brick builder for like your entire life. So you just got this big old wall of excuses and reasons, and now you got a big ass wall. And that's why it's really hard to overcome.
Yes. And we all do that. You and I do that too.
Yeah. Well, and I just say that and then there's a difference between like maybe a high performer. So where what you said is like it's all or nothing. So it's like I'm coming to the gym, I'm training 5 days a week, I'm getting after it, and then life throws a curveball, and because I can't do it at the 100% standard I'd held myself to, I'm just not gonna do it at all because it's just frustrating to be like I'm not good at this thing.
Yep.
So always an expectation that like I'm gonna kick ass at this, I'm gonna be great, and when it's like, oh, it's harder now because of this thing.
Yep.
I lost some traction. I backtracked a little bit on my progress. It's like, oh, screw it. I'll just, or they get just, like I said, I find a lot of folks have trouble finding balance. And quite frankly, they're just, if they're high performers, they're usually, if we're saying high performer, it usually means high performing in their professions. And so like priority is make money.
Yep.
The priority make money. If at any point in time there's an opportunity to make money that creates friction with my fitness, I'll go make money.
Yeah.
So it's like if I have a 5 o'clock workout, but an opportunity pops up, I'm gonna go take that opportunity and not work out. So and because they are high performers, they're constantly creating new opportunities to make more money. So they're constantly skipping workouts.
And I actually think, crazy to say this, but I actually think that's totally okay as long as you're aware of that.
Yeah. Well,
As long as you're aware of the choices that you're making,
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's an awareness of the choices that you're making, but then there's also like an awareness of how those things play out over the long run. Like a big thing in my like life lately has been not hedging for the things that would like have a positive impact in my life, but hedging against the things that I would regret or have a negative impact,
That's good. Yeah, that's
And
good.
I think like there's a huge benefit of being in the fitness industry and being a business owner because I literally get to see, all right, well, this is a 20-year-old, this is a 30-year-old, this is a 40-year-old, on and so forth, and and how all their lives are impacted by whatever their health and fitness decisions are. And I guess see that across the board for every age group in business. And you're like, okay, well, this is how their lives are impacted by the business decisions. And same thing with family or faith. I get to see, I have so many people in my life that I get to see in each of the different areas of their life and see like how have the decisions that they've made played out over life, and just knowing like the natural most common regrets that people have. And I go, well, you know, I don't know that this new business venture will make me happy. I don't know that making a little extra money will make me happy. But all the data says that me being out of shape and having a frail body at 70 was definitely going to make me unhappy.
For sure. For sure.
So like all the data says, like looking back and regretting it, like all the data says if a regret is I'm not going to spend as much time with my family as I wanted to. So it's like, I know that would be a problem or regret. So like, even though I don't know the potential outcome of this opportunity, I know the outcome of sacrificing this to pursue that opportunity. So I may hedge against the things I'm probably going to regret versus pursuing the things that are going to make me happy. So that's when people like, I see it all the time. People my age, because we're at the peak of our careers and we're at the peak of our family responsibilities. So it was just like, we're busy, right? You're busy and you got a lot of opportunities going on. And then I'm like, but I also see all the 60-year-olds. I've seen this. I've been around the 6-year-olds that are divorced and have bad relationships with their kids. And I've been around the 6-year-olds who, maybe didn't take that job opportunity because they didn't want to they want to be able to spend the weekends with their kids, where it was going to be. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm going to hedge in that direction. So you can know the outcome of the decisions, but it's not just, today. It's how does that play out in 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's always hard to have that foresight, right? How do you, and then it's like, how do you balance the fears and feelings that you have while you are actively being who you are? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Eric, I know you gotta go, brother. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Any final words for those listening?
I mean, I would say, well, thanks for listening. First of all, guys, some random dude from Los Angeles. But yeah, I think if you're in a place where this is a challenge for you, I think really think through, like, number one, what's most important for you, what's going to serve you best. And it doesn't have to be 100% the if you have, especially if you have an extreme way of thinking, it has to be done this way. Like, give yourself the space to live 25% of the dream before you go for 100% of it. Right. Whatever that is, you just need to start somewhere. Right. Yeah. It would be like, an analogy would be like, if you feel like you're really far away from where your current physical goals are, or your fitness goals are, it'd be like if you were like in business and you felt like, oh, I need to start making $1 million a year. Well, you need to make 100,000 before you can get towards 1 million. And you just need to find what that looks like first, define what the work it looks like to get there. And that's why having coaching, like, I'm a coach myself, but I have a coach myself. So that's why it's like having a support system really, really helps. And I think another thing that I also do with a lot of my clients is, if you're trying to make that change in your life, make sure you leverage the support systems that exist in your life. And what that means is, whether you're married with kids, I think it's really important that the people in your life know your goals. It's really important that they know the things that you care about, things that you are striving for, because it allows them to be either supportive of them, or it allows them to actively get in the way or get out of the way. Right. And I think what most of the time, what we don't realize is our family can often derail us without even trying. But how often do we communicate why our fitness is important to us and how it benefits our families as a whole? And I think when you have those conversations, it changes the like the energy that your family has about the things that you're doing. And now it becomes a team effort, because now you're not carving out time. You guys are all carving out your time so that you can do those things, so that you're showing it better for everyone around you.
Awesome. All right, Eric, appreciate you coming on. MBS Fitness Radio, out.
Thank you for listening to NBS Fitness Radio. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, follow us on social media, and check out our website at www.nbsfitness.net. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more NBS Fitness Radio.